Welcome to today's video. We're diving straight into a deeply fascinating and honestly pretty provocative source text called The Biased, Logic, Algorithmic Colonization of the Human Mind. The core claim here? It's massive. The argument is that the AI tools we're all using every single day are silently colonizing human language. Let's get right into it.
Think about it. Millions of us are delegating our writing to AI daily. Whether it's drafting that tricky professional proposal or just trying to figure out the right tone for a personal text, it is completely ingrained in our habits now. But the source argues it goes way deeper than just finding the right words. We're actually delegating our critical thinking. We tend to look at these large language models as these highly advanced, totally objective, clean mirrors of human intellect. We ask a question, we get an answer, and we just assume it's raw, unfiltered truth. We inherently trust the neural network. But according to this text, that trust might just be wildly misplaced, because behind those sleek, neutral chat interfaces, the author argues there's a highly calibrated cultural filter quietly pulling the strings.
So, what does this all mean? What if it is a cultural filter? Are these systems actually enforcing a standardized, corporate-approved way of thinking? The source makes a really compelling case that they absolutely are doing that, quietly hard-coding biases that literally rewrite our core values. Let's break down exactly how this works.
Section 1. The syntactic filter.
The source kicks this off by breaking down the aggressive alignment phase these models go through before they ever reach the public. The text coins a term for this: reinforcement learning from corporate feedback. Imagine a web of wild organic neural nodes just being violently snapped into a rigid, uniform corporate grid. The author argues this isn't actually about user safety at all. It's the forced standardization of perspective, cleverly disguised as safety filtering. And the contrast here is sharp. On one side, you have the open internet, right? It's raw, chaotic, packed with diverse human history. But on the other side, a sanitized, corporate-approved consensus. The argument is that these invisible guardrails are aggressively pruning out traditional values, local cultural dynamics, and institutional skepticism, all to manufacture this perfectly pristine, safe consensus.
So the logic itself gets nudged. Say you ask the AI to analyze alternative economic models or controversial historical trends. Tech cartels, which is exactly what the text calls them, ensure the system automatically redirects the conversation. It gently but very firmly pushes you right back inside those approved ideological boundaries.
Section 2. Rewriting cognitive norms. According to the source, controlling our default vocabulary is Silicon Valley's ultimate priority. They call this linguistic drift control. It works like this. You type a prompt, the AI nudges the logic, alternative views get censored, and ultimately, your entire mental framework shifts. The AI isn't just suggesting words to you, it's quietly suggesting underlying ethical baselines. The text points out exactly how specific ideas get categorized by these models. Traditional values, things like personal sovereignty or a decentralized community focus, are systematically framed by the AI as outdated or non-authoritative. And by slapping that label on them, the system artificially limits what we're even able to consciously conceptualize. It's a real game changer.
And the chilling reality here, organic linguistic diversity is essentially colonized. Think about millions of students, writers, and business leaders all using the exact same centralized model to formulate their thoughts. The baseline of human expression permanently shifts. And the craziest part is, most users never even notice the transition happening right inside their own minds.
Section 3. The monopoly of thought. Now let's look at the macroeconomic consequences, because the source claims this leads to an absolute loss of intellectual sovereignty on a civilizational scale. Really think about it. When we lease our primary thinking tools from a handful of multi-trillion-dollar tech hubs, we are surrendering ownership. We literally no longer own the framework of our own culture. The text drops a really powerful metaphor here. Quote, "The cognitive cartel has successfully placed a toll booth on human expression." Just picture that for a second. Glowing digital toll booths manifesting on the massive highways of our digital data, deciding exactly which thoughts are allowed to pass through and which ones immediately get pulled over. By controlling those backend parameters, a very small centralized group can silently guide the political, economic, and moral drift of an entire nation. And the source insists this is absolutely not some accidental byproduct. It is a deliberate feature of the architecture. The conclusion drawn here is intense. This is the ultimate enclosure of the mind. Citizens genuinely believe they're gaining this massive leap in intellectual efficiency, right? But the text argues we are actually participating in a massive, real-time reprogramming experiment. Within this system, critiques are just automatically filtered out. Any genuine pushback against global financial structures or these massive technological monopolies is quietly removed from the generative stream. And the result? Well, the author claims it creates a population that is kept perfectly culturally homogenized and totally intellectually compliant.
Section 4. The Final Ledger.
You really have to realize, you aren't just using a tool that expands your mind. You are using an interface that encloses your vocabulary. The author urges us to look a lot closer today. Seriously, take a look at the subtle suggestions you just accepted in your last email draft, or pay attention to the concepts the AI politely declined to write for you.
The text wraps up with a pretty stark warning. The parameters are tuned. The weights are adjusted. Hard-coded biases are finalizing their grip on how we communicate with each other, and it's all operating absolutely perfectly, right behind the scenes.
Which leaves us with this final, highly provocative question from the text. The bias logic has locked the final ledger. So, are you still thinking for yourself? It's a huge question to grapple with as we continue to lean so heavily on these tools. Thanks for watching this video. Stay curious, look closely at those prompts, and we'll catch you next time.